Welcome everybody to yet another interesting webinar. Today, Ivan Posniakov, our technical expert, who is about to share his screen, is going to host a webinar on the finishing of Tagetes. I see participants dropping in. So as always, you can use the Q&A functionality to post your questions. We will make sure that these are addressed before the end of the webinar. Either that is during the speech or afterwards. Feel free to post questions and welcome again on behalf of Syngenta Flowers to the webinar finishing of Tagetes. Ivan.
Hello, Michael. Hello, everybody who joined this webinar. I'm very glad to see all of you here, and very glad to share some insight of Tagetes, some specific information that we have. Today we will talk about the second part of Marigold production, Tagetes production, and I would like to mention that today we mostly will talk about the Tagetes Erecta varieties. It's more popular and it's top sales in South Asia and Southeast Asia. And let me remind you and make a short recap about the previous webinar, what we talked about. Last webinar, we started with our fantastic assortment, which contains Antigua, Inca to perfection. This is best sellers in the Southeast Asia and South Asia market. And of course, our new members in the team, Big Top Cheerleader, and of course, White Gold Max, which came from Flora Nova Genetics. And you can see find the best solution for your landscaping requirements and your pot size. We discussed and we started our last previous webinar with the hygienic pillars. I would like to speak about little bit briefly today, but not will take so much. The main sentence about the hygienic: start with clean condition and continue also with a clean condition. What we have to check before we starting with sowing, as you can imagine, previous webinar mostly concerning the sowing process. So check your seeds quality and remember about 5 components of success. Prepare clean substrate properly. Germination stage. Keep in your mind that Tagetes required a bit higher pH than other crops. Sowing process critical topics like calcium feeding and possible toxicity of iron and from iron and magnesium and and manganese, and please avoid stretching, so it means feed your plant well. And let's go. Also, of course, not forget about send your question with the Q&A bars in the webinar. And let's start with the assortment again. I just would like to remind you that we have already 11 varieties of different varieties of fantastic Tagetes fantastic Tagetes series. Most of all has a complete colors like a yellow, lemon, and orange and deep orange. And of course, we have stand-alone varieties like a White Gold Max. It's mostly unique variety in the assortment, in the entire assortment in the world. So please check assortment and check possibility with our catalogs. You can find and you can reach out the catalogs with the QR codes which displayed here. And today I would like to say just few words about the additional supplemental assortment that we have in Flora Nova. Please look at this fantastic picture. This is a triploid assortment, so that's why I would like to mention it here. I would like to also recall that today we're talking about Tagetes Erecta, but as because this Tagetes is a triploid, so that's why it's very close related. So if you would like to if you want to be really the best for landscapers, really best supplier for landscapers, so endurance variety is for you. And if you searching an exceptional color, like you can see in the picture from the right side, it's really a red color. Please meet the Zenith. Zenith is also triploid variety, and you can see more detailed information about that varieties in the Flora Nova assortment. Please reach out it with the QR codes and or use a catalog in our site. So that's why you can see that there you can see very nice additional information and additional topic on the Tagetes. And let's start with the top 5 success point, how to reach how to become the best producer of Tagetes. And we start with again with a higher pH, because pH is a critical point not only with the young plants production. Don't overwater. It's another topics for big plants. It mostly concerned with big plants. Of course, not forget about calcium feeding, because calcium makes your plant stronger and protect from stretching. This is very critical, especially for a wet part of the year, for rainy season. Be careful about iron and magnesium excess. If you provide rather higher pH, you will not afraid about the iron and magnesium toxicity. And of course, alternaria. I think many growers already familiar or time to time reach out these fungi. So I think this is also good knowledge how to. It will be good knowledge how to find how to protect your plants from alternaria. And let's start with the first component of success. Now I would like to recall that we are on the seedling stage. We receive our seeds from the germination room or just from germination plate, and now we need to know how to handle already the young plants that already start to growing out in trays or in beddings. It doesn't matter. And we start with the temperature. Temperature should be in the range between 20 25 21, and it should be stable. It is possible to make little difference between day and night temperature. It's not issue. It's there is not any big you will not receive any big issue if you keep a plant a little bit colder in little colder condition in the night. Light intensity should be not very strong. This is good news for that growers who is a producer in the northern or highland region, because Tagetes not require in a seedling stage not require too high light intensity. And of course, not forget about the pH. pH is a critical thing for Tagetes. Most of the crops, I would like to recall that most of the crops requires pH in a range about 5.5, 5.8. It's not applicable for Tagetes. And many growers that considering that Tagetes can be in the one row with in the one company with other crops and can be treated in the same way, that growers can find and can face some kind of issue with feeding and with toxicity. So that's why pay attention to the pH and water Tagetes separately, because it requires pH in this range 6.1 6.2 in the media, I mean in substrate, and in the water as well. So let's go about the second. Let's go to start with the second component of success. Don't overwater Tagetes. Here you can see very may to say Very nice picture, very nice comparative picture, very comparative picture. On the right side, here you see from the left side in this picture, Tagetes, which is the plant of the same variety, which is little bit depressed and little bit inhibit. And the reason why it happens, and what was in the background of this story, both plants taken from the same from the same greenhouse. It belongs to same variety in the same series, of course, but that left plants placed in the little bit a more flooded area than the right one. And so it gets a lot of water, and you can see the results. So my advice, very straight advice, not overwater your Tagetes. As because Tagetes is quite quite tolerant to the slight drought. So that's why there is another requirement how to avoid overwatering is to let substrate dry between irrigation. So mind the gap again, mind the gap about irrigation, and of course mind the gap between plants and the bottom of the greenhouse and the how to say the floor of the greenhouse, because I would like to say just few words to recall about to help you remind about the hygienic and about phytotoxicity. So mind the gap between the don't forget to provide a gap between greenhouse ground level and the plants. And yes, of course, there is another approach how to provide and how to protect your plants from overwatering is provide a slope. Don't forget to make a little slope on the table if you're watering from the top. It will protect plants from other watering, because water will be trickling down from the table and will be how to say it, removed from the table and will not overwater your plants. And so of course check level of the tables or level of the beddings where you placed your young plants to be sure there is no any place that can be flooded with the water, with the excess of the water. And third component of success. Now we go in quite quickly, yes, because it's there are many things in behind of 5 components of success as well. So feed your plants well. What means feed your plants well? Of course, please pay attention to the right picture on the right side. Not apply too much phosphorus for your plants. I would like to tell a short story about fertilizers which contains a high amount of phosphorus. This fertilizer came from agronomists who applied in the open field, in the outdoor condition, in the soil. In the location, there are with the soil with a quite high pH, whereas phosphorus is not very available for the plant. For that condition, any fertilizer with high phosphorus is welcomed, but when you produce the plant in the small pots or in a trays, and you can imagine the volume of the pots, it's rather small if we compare with the outdoor condition or in the bedding condition. Of course, in this small quantity of a substrate, excess of phosphorus, as because phosphorus cannot be moved with the water quite quickly. It will stay in the pot and will This may to say will bring intoxication to the plants because of the excess of the phosphorus. So normally a plant requires and plant takes from the water just a few amount, just a small amount of phosphorus. So that's why it's not necessary to apply even the equal quantity of the phosphorus like you can see in this picture, like in the range like 15 15 15. Even in this quantity, phosphorus can be, after maybe 5-6 application, phosphorus can be toxic to the plant. And of course phosphorus can shift pH into lower or higher point just because phosphorus can be stored and can absorb some kind of different elements like calcium, like magnesium, like micro elements, etc. And so that's why phosphorus, excess of the phosphorus can be cause of deficiency of some elements. So be careful about high phosphorus. Another topics, provide your plants with a feed with a proper amount of food. It's just because the Tagetes really like to feed well. And here you can see the fertilizer level on the range 75-155 ppm of nitrogen, which when you dissolve this quantity of fertilizer, you will receive the quite high level of EC in the water. With a 75, it brings about 0.8 millisiemens approximately, and with a 125, it can reach even 1.5 millisiemens per centimeters. I afraid I can little bit confused you and confuse the visitors when I start talk about the fertilizer in ppm of nitrogen, and later I moved to the EC level. And here in the picture, in the table below, you can see the water EC that displayed in the millisiemens per centimeter as well. Why I talking about in the beginning, I talked about fertilizer in nitrogen level, and later on, I moved to explain it in the EC level. Later on, I will explain why, and you will understand why it is really convenient way how to express amount of fertilizer or how to advise amount of fertilizer. And not forget, there are two different type of EC. Maybe I have to explain the few words about what is EC, because maybe not many visitors are quite familiar with EC. EC, it means electric conductivity. So it means the property of the water or the liquid to conduct the current between two electrodes. This current depends and affects by the concentration of dissolved elements or dissolved ions. The higher concentration, the higher EC, and this effect made to say very strong, and so that's why it is EC. I mean electric conductivity is a good way how to measure very quickly in the water quantity of fertilizer, because all fertilizer when you dissolve it, it divided into the ions, cations and anions. All of them are able to conduct, of course, I think you know it from the chemistry, from the school chemistry, it's able to conduct the current. So that's why EC is a perfect way how to measure very quickly. If you put the sensor into the water, in 1 second you can see the level of the fertilizer, but not in a gram, not in a ppm, you will see it in EC. In millisiemens, because we're talking about electric conductivity. But because electric conductivity really bind with the concentration, you can easily understand what's the level of the concentration. And in this table, you can see range between lower and higher level of the EC. Lower level should be about 0.4 and highest level and on this stage of the plant can be 1.7. That Tagetes is very convenient crop in the terms of the overfeeding. It's really difficult to overfeed the Tagetes. So that's why it needs to really make a triple times of fertilizer to really overfood your Tagetes. And of course, not forget to provide your plants, to make it stronger, to provide your plants with the calcium and magnesium. Here you can see every fourth watering. In the table, you can see the watering during the weeks. It's just an example. It's just to make a picture how it can be, for instance. And here you can see in the first week, we have a 3 watering. One time we apply the clean water before sowing, as I explained in the previous webinar. Next to watering, we give for Tagetes NPK in a range 18, 5, 18. And on the second week, first watering, it will be fourth watering from the beginning. It's necessary to apply calcium and magnesium with the same concentration like you, in average, the same concentration like you applied with the previous watering or with the next watering. Here you can imagine how it should be in your location. Of course, quantity of the, number of watering can be altered between the weather. But anyway, you can keep in mind, if you look at this slide, you will keep in mind that every fourth of every fifth watering, you should apply calcium and magnesium instead of the NPK. Why I advise to do this way? Because many growers can think this way. Oh, we apply NPK total, it's complex fertilizer. Maybe there are some calciums inside of this. No, honestly, in most of the complex fertilizer, which contains NPK and micro elements, calcium mostly absent because calcium make precipitation. So not all manufacturer able to provide the calcium with this combination of the with the different with the other elements. So in general, fertilizer, complex fertilizer, lack of calciums. And you can receive calcium deficiency if you apply only NPK fertilizer. So please keep in mind about the calcium. This is main message. And feed well. And let's go about EC. What's the difference between EC in the media, in the substrate? Media means here substrate. And EC in the water. This is really different EC. It's not the same. And in the recommendation, in the tech sheet, in the tech guides, you will see in general mostly media EC, not EC in the water. Please be careful to understand, to correctly understand, to clearly understand this point. Most of tech sheets and most of tech advisors contains media EC. But when we talking about how to how to feed our crop, we also talking about EC in the water. And what's the difference? Here you can see the picture, how to understand what's the difference. Water in EC, it all that we give to the plant. We measure it usually right before we apply the watering. And it contains entire quantity of elements. All elements we provide, all salts we provide with the watering. Later on, plant will uptake some elements. Here you can see that like ring shape piece of pie. The blue one, plant will uptake, and the orange one will stay in the substrate. But sometimes a plant can uptake a little. It's real life. It's a real life organism. It is a plant which is how to say it. It's life body. So that's why plant sometimes takes a little bit more fertilizer, sometimes little bit less. So that's a quantity we can find when we measure EC in the substrate. When we measure EC in the substrate, we know how plant able to uptake the elements. If plant healthy, it's uptaken very quickly. And if you see the EC level drop down less than 0.4, it means plants hungry, plants need more. So in this case, you need increase EC in the water. So remember, EC in the water should be always bigger normally, because plant takes from the this quantity of salts, takes some salts inside, some food inside, and the rest of food display you how strong plant is now at this moment. If plant not able to consume a lot of, for instance, in the cloudy weather or in the cold weather, plant not able to uptake all elements, because you see in this scheme, you can see the water flux in this from inside the soil into the plant, and the water will will be evaporated from the leaf surface. So in low temperature condition or in a little shady condition, plant not able to take a lot of water and not able to, of course, to take a lot of fertilizer from the water. So that's why you will see increasing of EC in the substrate. So in general, you can imagine it. You can compare it like with animal. If the animal, for instance, cat or dog is healthy, very active, it eats a lot. But if you see it's a little bit sick or maybe a little bit dumpy, in this case, it's leave some food in the plate. The same situation with a plant. So what I think I explained the difference in EC quite clear. And let's go to the fertigation, how to understand what means fertigation in the which is mentioned in the ppm of nitrogen. In many recommendations, in many tech sheets, you can see recommendation not in a gram per liter, not in a gram per cubic meters of the substrate. You will see recommendation in general in ppm of nitrogen. And here's the explanation how to recalculate and how to use, because some of the growers ask me in my practice, most of the growers ask me how we can recalculate, because we don't know how to handle with ppm. But honestly, it's very simple. Here you can see just only 5 steps how easily understand what is a ppm. If you see, for instance, recommendation ppm 75 ppm of nitrogen, you need to understand what ppm means. Ppm means part per million. So it here you can see it very easily to translate it to milligrams, because milligrams in it 1 million part of 1 kilo. So I think this is very clear. So that's why it's not need to really recalculate ppm to milligrams. You already know what's mean. And at the same time, this ppm means how many fertilizer you should add into the 1 kilogram or 1 liter of water, because with the 25 degrees, the 1 liter of the water has weight 1 kilograms. So the same quantity in ppm will be the same milligram per water. Okay, but we see the ppm of nitrogen. But what about other elements? And this is really means in the step 3, you can see this is only weight of nitrogen, 75 milligram of nitrogen. How to recalculate? It's very also not very difficult. We have to add or recalculate an entire weight. In the right corner, you can see example of one of fertilizer available in the market with a range 50, 0, 9 or 9% and 20%. You don't need to know other rate of the rate of other elements. You just need to know how many nitrogen contains in this fertilizer, and you will provide with a proper NPK rate full range of feeding elements if you use complex fertilizer. So you need just only percent of nitrogen. Use that number 15 to recalculate. It's easily to recalculate. 15 it means 15%. If it's 15%, you need to know how much is in comparison of entire with a 100%. So you need to divide 100 on 50 and multiply on the quantity of the nitrogen. So here you can see the calculation on the step 5, 75 multiply 10 divide 100 divided on 50, and you will get 500 milligrams of half of gram per liter, because we're talking about ppm of nitrogen per liter. If you take 75 milligrams with this fertilizer, you will bring entire weight as a 50 milligrams per liter. So in this example, you have with a 75 ppm, you have to take 500 milligrams or half of gram of fertilizer and dissolve it in the water. I think it's quite simple. So please, if you have a question, or if you see I not clearly understand it to you, not clearly reveal in behind of nitrogen, please ask, send your question in the Q and answer question and answer bar. Okay, let's go with another example. How to already apply our fertilizer. Of course, there are many kind of applications, like we can just spread the dry fertilizer, but please not apply this way of plant fertigation. This is really not good way. Today I will explain how to properly fertile your crop with a common and with the most simple way of application, with a direct dissolving into the water. Of course, there are another kind of fertilizer application. I not consider a dryer. First one, I consider a direct dissolving into the water. The second one is applying of the concentrated solution with a dosatron, and the high level thing is applying of the watering unit with the fertilizer with tank A and tank B. So today we will talk. Today I will talk about most common way of application and how to apply this 500 milligrams per liter if you want to make efficient to feed your plant very efficiency. So it not needs to apply it in each liter. You have to take, for instance, 200 liters for your greenhouse, for entire greenhouse, and recalculate 500 milligrams per liter into the 200 of liters. Multiply on 200 of liters, and you will receive 100 grams. Formerly, we had 500 half of grams, and now we have to add into the 200 liters 100 grams of fertilizer. And okay, we have to initially we need to dissolve this quantity in 200 liters. How to make it? This is from one hand, it's very clear how to apply this quantity, but in other hand, many growers forget one steps that I mentioned here in this scheme. First of all, fill your tank with a half of volume, about 100 or maybe a little bit higher, 150 liters. Second step, measure your elements, measure your fertilizer in weight, so measure 100 grams and dissolve in a tank. Rinse it well, and after this, add water up to 200 of liters, but not apply this fertilizer, this liquid, this solution directly to the plant. In the beginning, check you see in the solution. If you have to apply this quantity, provide you see about 0.8. And if you apply your scheduling, you need to understand how many, you need to know how many EC should be in the water. Let's back to the slide, 3 slides above. And here you can see the difference between the EC can be between 0.4 up to 1.7. Another advice, not alternate EC between two watering too much. The highest difference between you see in the previous watering and you see in the second watering, it should be not higher than 0.3. I mentioned it in my in our previous webinars, and I would like to recall it just to how to say it. Don't make to forget this point. And you can, for instance, you can and you need to receive EC level 0.8. So after dissolving fertilizer, sometimes can happen different process in the water during the watering. Sometimes some ions, for instance, if you apply the new fertilizer, you never tried this before, you never know the quality in the beginning. You know the quality maybe after two three application of this new fertilizer. So that's why you're not it's difficult to imagine what's happened between the different ions in the liquid in the water solution. So that's why sometimes fertilizer can make precipitation, can came to into the reaction between each other and can make precipitation. So that's why I advise to measure EC in this 7th step, mostly may to say not most of growers pay a lot of attention to this step. So this is one of the critical items when you apply the water and when you apply fertilizer. So measure EC in the water. If EC reach 0.8 or above 0.8, for instance, 0.81, 0.78, it is okay. You can apply this water. So it means you reach targeted EC. If not, if it is higher, you have to add little bit water. Just add, for instance, 2 liters of the water and measure EC again, and you will see the changes. How fast EC changed. It is changed not fast. Add a little bit more water and check it again. If it matched 0.8 or above, you can apply to the plants. If you see the fertilizer is lower, it can means or you not calculate you not add fertilizer in proper quantity, or you face the issue when the some elements made a reaction, came to reaction and made the unsolved how to say it, insoluble salts. In this case, you have to add additional quantity of the fertilizer. And my advice is to add just small quantity of fertilizer and measure EC again. If you reach 0.8 targeted EC, you can apply. If not reach, try it again, make it again. I think this explanation will help you, and you can use this presentation as a reference to your your daily routine, and I hope this will help you to understand. And of course, if you apply good fertigation, if you apply proper pH, not forget about pH with Tagetes. Once again, if you apply prepare proper substrate, as I explained in previous webinar, you will receive the plant that will be ready to transplant it, which we need to keep in mind when we're talking about transplanting. We have to be prepared. So it means prepare clean substrate, prepare clean place, and protect your plants in advance. These advices I explained in previous webinar, and you can back and I hope all of visitors already received this presentation, and you can recall, and you can revise the previous presentation, what mean clean substrate, how to clean and how to prepare the substrate. The most common things and most applicable things is to apply biological protection. It's very nice, especially if you apply the bacterial components to protect your plants, because bacterial not sensitive. It's very fantastic approach, because bacterials not sensitive to fungicide. You can apply the bacterial, like some chemicals on the base of the Bacillus subtilis or Streptomyces lidicus, and this kind of chemical will not sensitive. It will works, but will not sensitive to fungicides. Of course, if you use a glycolidium or trichoderma, it will be sensitive to fungicides. But I advise to focused on the bacterial protection, and this bacterial protection is very effective against the fungus which can be present in the substrate, especially if you use natural soil, because many of growers in Southeast Asia like to use a natural soil. This is good solution. It's very nice. It's very effective solution, because it's quite cheap source of the substrate, quite cheap component of a substrate. But at the same time, you can imagine we take it from nature, and all the fungus can be which were presented in the nature, in the field, will come to your greenhouse. So that's why I advise store your in the place where you store your substrate, apply biological protection, because bacteria or even fungus like a trichoderma can to fight with a disease, how to say it, with a dangerous fungus like Alternaria, which is really dangerous for the Tagetes, and especially in wet in condition with a high humidity. And of course, provide a clean area, drainage and slope. If you don't able to provide a good drainage with the stones or with the gravel, please provide a small slope, or greenhouse should be normally engineers provide small slope in the greenhouse. Or if you're not able to check this, you can provide it with a some kind of material, with the tables, for instance, or with a special plates where you can place your plants. And anyway, please keep in mind about overwatering, because it's very sensitive to Tagetes, because overwatering is one of the critical mistake, and you already observe in the pictures what it brings to the plants. And of course, now we're talking about the substrate. The possible substrate can be applicable in the South East Asia and South Asia, and commonly can be presented and can be available in each location. Is of course it's a different kind of natural soil, like alluvial soil from a river valleys, volcanic soil, and of course many growers can apply substrate on the base of coco-peat, a normal peat, but I can understand that normal peat, it's quite expensive product for Tagetes, so that's why I just mention it here. I not advise it really, but this is a good solution if you can find a quite cheap peat with a good condition, with a good property. And substrate on the base of wood fiber. The wood fiber substrate now became more and more popular and more available. It's quite cheap. It's cheap, more cheaper offer into the market. So that's why you can use the wood fiber instead of coco-peat. And sometimes most of the growers, especially very experienced grower, apply not alluvial or volcanic soil by itself. They mix it with a 20 or 30% of the organic substrate, like a coco-peat and a food fiber derived substrate. So I also advise to use at least 20% of the organic compound, like a cocoa peat, as a premix to the substrate. It will help. It will help root develop more faster and bring plants bring more health and more energy to the plants, just because of the root health. Because as you can understand, the root is a uh, most critical organ of the plants, which provide the food and the water for the plants. And I would like to recall you that plant contains about 80% of the 90% of the water, of the wet weight. And of course, put as because the Marigold or Tagetes able to give additional root in the hypocotyl, I advise to put little bit deeper. Especially you can in this way you can apply it is a tricky way if you get a stretching of Tagetes. If your plant little bit stretch, you can put it place into the substrate little bit deeper. In this condition, Tagetes normally gives adventitious root in the hypocotyl, and so that's why it is a very efficient way how to bring additional root and additional health to the plant, to put the hypocotyl at least on the one half of height deeper into the substrate. Sorry. And now we came to growing condition. I would like to recall about the pH again. Put pH higher for Tagetes, so it can provide it with a substrate as well. If you apply substrate with already premixed with calcium carbonate or dolomite floor, which can held pH in a level closer to 6.1, 6.5. And don't forget to food your plant well, because Tagetes really like to food, really like mineral food. Here you can see fertilizer can be increased from 75, from the level of 75 till 125. In this stage, it should be increased up to 125, 175 of ppm of nitrogen. And of course, NPK rate, as because young plants after transplanted start to form flower buds, it requires a bit more potassium. So that's why please apply it. Can be beneficial if you apply fertilizer with a more high level of potassium, like a 15, 530 or 70, 540. And fifth component of success. Finally, we came to protection. And here you can see the picture of the spores, of Alternaria spores in the picture, like a microscope, how to say it, objective. This is a spores of the one of the most dangerous disease can be found in Tagetes. And here I add additional chemicals to protect plants from the Alternaria. And of course, there are another not only chemical can be focused in the can be in focus of the grower. I advise to apply entire or it's made to say other approaches to protect your plant, not only chemicals. But if you can things or if you suspect that that plant can reach some kind of damages from, or it looks like or damages looks like came from Alternaria, you can apply the chemicals, and you have to apply chemicals immediately, as soon as possible. And of course, about the integral protection, not only chemicals can provide protection plants from the soils. Again, I would like to remind it again. There are some simple things which can be can be applied in your location. Of course, if it's applicable with your facility, but anyway, you can provide some kind of application, some kind of approach like sticky traps or UV traps, which can be placed in the or surround the place where you produce the Tagetes. If you would like to be successful with the Tagetes, please, as the same advice for other crops, don't forget about the integral protection. This kind of protection will help you to minimize the damage, and not only minimize the damage, and also apply less of chemicals. And so today I finalize it bit quickly. If you have any questions, please you can ask. And now we have a bit more time to explain some kind of maybe not clear items, some kind of not clear topics, and I give the floor to Michael. Yeah. Do we have any questions?
Yes, thank you, Ivan, for again a very inspiring story. I think it was pretty self-explanatory while pretty complex. We do not yet have questions. Please use the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen. At least that is for desktop users. I don't know how that is for mobile users. Probably it's also at the bottom. Feel free to ask your questions, and if you feel uncomfortable in doing so using a Q&A, you can always reach out to Ivan or the sales representatives Gautam Sangla, Key Account Manager for South Asia, which is India, Nepal, and Bangladesh, or Amjad Iqbal, who is Key Account Manager SEAP, Southeast Asia and Pakistan. And he's responsible for all the countries of Pakistan, Thailand, Vietnam, Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore, Philippines, Cambodia, and their surrounding countries. Well then, again, thanks, Ivan, for a good story. As there are no questions, that can have two reasons. One is that everybody fell asleep. And the second reason is that it was so clear that there are no questions. And I think we can conclude that this is an example of the latter. I think it was pretty clear. I see some positive reactions popping up.
Yeah,
So
thank you very much. And
thank you very much.
of course, I would like to. I wish for all growers a good season. Despite of this year, we have a lot of rains in some regions. So anyway, I think I would like to advise the apply the that approaches I explained to make plant more stronger, to get a success, and especially apply the specific varieties, because many growers don't familiar with our Antigua. Antigua is it's quite compact, genetically compact varieties which suitable for rainy condition. So if you see, if you can face the stretching with the normal varieties, you can apply Antigua, for instance. This is also can be this advice can be applicable in many regions, and this advice will help for many growers to avoid the stretching and avoid the damage from the really strong damage from rainy and wet condition.
All right, and with that, I would like to conclude, giving you back 6 minutes of your day. Still, the positive icons are popping up, so thanks for that. And again, feel free to reach out either to me or to our sales team or our technical expert, Ivan. And I hope to see you again anytime soon in one of our tropical territories. Thank you very much. Have a lovely day.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Have a nice day.